Hello, today we're going to be talking about the addicted part of the mind, being a bully and trying to get you to relapse. I want to bring this up because I think it's so important to realise that being passive is going to keep you stuck in a porn addiction. Like, not doing anything is going to keep you stuck in a porn addiction. Now, imagine you're getting bullied. Well, what's going to happen is the bully's going to keep on persisting and bullying you until you stand up to them. Like, that is just the truth, because for the bully, they've probably got some messed up trauma or some shit. Maybe they're getting bullied themselves, right? But in their head, they're thinking, on some level, yeah, there's benefits to bullying this person. Like, maybe it's making them feel powerful. Maybe they find it funny. They're probably not thinking of the consequences. They're probably not thinking of how the victim of the bullying is actually feeling, right? They don't know how much it's hurting that person. They're just thinking of their own enjoyment in some way or another. Now, as the victim of the bully, if you then stand up to this bully and call them out on what they're doing and you actually face them, maybe you even throw a punch, right? I can almost assure you the consequences then shift for the bully. Like, the bully's then aware, if I keep doing it, it's going to make this person feel this certain way, and they may actually feel some guilt around that. Or they're risking a punch in the face. So now the bully has a different choice to make. The choice isn't the same anymore because now they're aware of the consequences. When you're in an addiction, what you have is the addicted part of the mind is bullying you into engaging in the compulsive behaviour. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't want to create some internal battle, some fight, some conflict in the mind. In fact, we want to do quite the opposite. What we want is freedom, peace of mind, clarity, focus, and the ability to deal with the addicted part of the mind in a rational way by listening to it, understanding what it's saying, and then very rationally countering its arguments. And so the arguments that the addicted part of the mind is going to display are usually going to be justifications, rationalizations, excuses to engage in the behavior. These are what we call junkie thoughts. It then also uses many other tactics like unanswerable questions and tries to get you into deprivation and helplessness. Now, all of this is explored in a lot more detail inside the Beyond Compulsion Academy. This is like a very sort of quick summary, in a way, of the whole Beyond Compulsion method. But essentially what we want to do is navigate the relationship between the different parts going on in the mind. And you are not your porn addiction. You are not this one singular, mind just going, okay, I want to watch porn, and then you end up looking at some weird shit on the internet that actually repels you. If you actually were just this one mind, and you didn't have these different parts, then it wouldn't really make sense that you keep doing something that you also want to stop. And so it's so important to hold true that there's this dichotomy where a part of your mind wants to engage in the behaviour, a part of your mind wants to stop the behaviour. It's what we call the constant conflict, the basic dilemma. So what's so key to understand is the addicted part of the mind is bullying you right now. If you're in a porn addiction, it's bullying you. And so we've got to stand up to it. Now, me and my clients, we do that with a 5-fact script to put the rational part of the mind back in control in the critical moments of compulsive desire. But let me tell you now something that's really, really important, because what I see is a lot of people going to therapy and they're speaking to someone who's very, very passive. They're just asking them questions. And I used to do this because I was a Samaritan for 2.5 years volunteering. And what we were trained to do is just ask people questions and not judge, be compassionate perhaps, listen and ask more questions and reflect back and just go a bit back and forth and try and understand. And that might seem like a very good approach to help someone feel heard and maybe make them feel better in that moment. But the problem is, when it comes to the addicted part of the mind has one job 24/7. It wants you to engage, and it doesn't give a shit about how you feel. So it's just going to come back and answer with some bullshit, some excuses, some rationalizations. And if you're not careful, and the therapist is there validating all these excuses, you're going to basically go round in circles indefinitely, and you're going to stay stuck in the addiction trying to deny that you even want to stop it because, everyone does it, it's fine, it's normal, it's not that bad a problem. I've got this career, I've got this business, I've got this family, or whatever other good things in your life you have. You're going to say, the porn addiction is not that bad because look at all these other areas of my life, they're fine, so I can be in the porn addiction while still living this life that you live in. Well, the truth is you're not happy with it, and you can stop it, but we've got to really be direct with the addictive part of the mind. Now, it's quite interesting because I was running a book club on Sunday, and one of the people at the book club brought up how she works with people from the Netherlands, and she was talking about how direct they are culturally, because we were talking about this book and we were talking about cultural differences across the world, and we were talking about like British politeness, for example. Yesterday I was in a lift, for example, and I'm coming out of this lift. I'm in the UK in Manchester, coming out of this lift, and this woman's there, and she got in the lift on the same floor as me. We go down, and honestly, we were there in like a standoff for probably about 2 minutes, going like, no, you go first. Oh, no, you go first. Oh, you go first. Like, for who's going to get out of the lift first. Like, it was so bloody British. Like, honestly, it was just ridiculous. So we're there, like, just being polite as fuck. But being polite is not going to help with addiction recovery. And this is what I wanted to talk about, is just the directness of dealing with the addictive part of the mind is so essential. And I think this is why Mary, my mentor, Mary Paulus, is the only person to actually help me get out of this porn addiction, because throughout working with her for like 2 years now, she has been so bloody direct, like just straight up calling me out on any bullshit excuse, any rationalization. And she's not doing it in like a judgmental way, because we both know there's nothing wrong with people for developing addictive neural pathways and having this wiring in their brain. What's going on is it's more of a, macro societal problem that porn's absolutely everywhere, and there's awful advice on the internet on how to actually overcome this problem. So people obviously end up developing these addictive neural pathways. They have the wrong information. The therapists are being completely, passive and just validating the junkie thinking, which is keeping the addictive part of the mind alive and well and thriving, helping people feel like they're making progress because they're making improvements in other areas of their life without actually dealing with the addictive part of the mind head on. And then people just basically stay stuck in the addiction. And, I think it's interesting how the Dutch, like people from the Netherlands, seem to really love our method. And I thought that was interesting. I would say after the UK and the USA, our third most our clients are from the Netherlands, basically. Like that's the third most popular country for our clients, and we seem to get really, really good results for the guys in the Netherlands in particular, I think. And I think that's because they are used to that direct approach a little bit more culturally. Perhaps, I don't know. I love working with the guys from the Netherlands. I mean, I love working with guys from America, from the UK, from Canada, from literally everywhere, all over the world. It's awesome. But I think there is something to be said for that cultural difference. And I think it's interesting how language works. And this is one of the things we were talking about at book club, is that I may say something in one country and it gets interpreted in one way, and you say it in a different country, it gets interpreted in a totally different way. And being brought up here in the UK, I think as a culture, we don't want to offend people, and we're very, scared of like being impolite and hurting someone's feelings perhaps. But I think sometimes we have to be a bit more direct. At least with dealing with the addictive part of the mind, we definitely need to be more direct and actually like go, hang on a minute, that's bullshit. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not easy, but who said change was ever easy? It's about changing in the ways which actually serve us and enable us to live the life we truly want to live. And so I just want to get all this across. It's been on my mind this weekend. I think a series of events, with the going in the lift and, this person at book club bringing up how the people in the Netherlands that she works with are way more direct. That made me think about my experience of that as well, and how I absolutely love that kind of culture, to be straight. And then my experience with Mary for the last 2 years, working with her and how direct she has been. And then my experience with guys who are in therapy or they've been in therapy for years, and the kind of passive approach. And we had a guy yesterday saying how his therapist actually like validated a lot of the junkie thinking and was kind of trying to argue with him, saying, well, porn's normal, it's okay. I'm like, what the hell? Like, are the consequences okay with you? Yeah, it may be normal. Yeah, everyone's doing it, but let's look at the consequences. And is it actually even normal anyway to like being on a phone, looking at random people you don't know, like having sex, or like looking at them naked and they don't even know you're looking at them? Like, is that actually like okay? I mean, come on, like the way it makes you feel afterwards is probably the best indicator whether it's actually okay with you or not. You know, who finishes, like, has the post-nut clarity and goes, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that, you know, that was a really nice time, oh yeah. Like, not many people, I don't think, actually feel that way afterwards. And if you do, then, you know, you probably shouldn't even be listening to this, because if you don't want to stop it, then you're not my audience, you know. Go crack on, do your thing. All right. Cheers for listening. Hopefully this is useful to someone. If you'd like to book a one-on-one call with me and have a little chat, I probably won't be that direct on that chat, to be straight, because what can happen is if you're too direct about this stuff on like a one-on-one call, you can get people into deprivation thinking. We've got to get people out of deprivation thinking first, because I'm never going to be like trying to get someone to stop watching porn. That isn't my job. My job is to provide the tools and the education and the understanding of the addicted part of the mind and the rational self and the child self, so that the individual can choose for themselves what they do with that education, with the tool, with the script, and make choices for themselves, right? And this is so important as well, because I'm never going to try and get someone to stop watching porn, because that choice ultimately has to be coming from that person. It has to be autonomous. Otherwise, they're not actually free. And my job really is to help people create their own freedom through the right education. All right. Cheers for listening. Thank you very much. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.